The high rises, all the skyscrapers, the tall buildings, the office buildings, and the banks. In summer, during lunchtime, from Monday to Friday, you will see a lot of people who work in the office having lunch here.
Every morning, Tai Chi takes over many of the city's parks. This ancient martial art is the most popular form of gentle exercise. So if Hong Kong's hustle and bustle is leaving you a little overwhelmed, don't worry. There are even free Tai Chi lessons for tourists, and in no time you'll have your balance back. It's been called one of the most hyperactive cities in the world. Just about every nook and cranny of Hong Kong is consumed with commerce. So it's not surprising most tourists arrive with their sights set on the shops. There are markets and malls galore. But there are also exciting attractions. It's hard to know where to start, but a tram ride to Victoria Peak can help put things in perspective. At 400 meters up, the view is the main draw. But there's also quite a tourist complex with cafes, shops, and a rather mesmerizing fountain. Hong Kong's official population is about 6.4 million, and about 98% is ethnic Chinese. Despite decades of colonial rule, Chinese culture thrives. Tai Chi is practiced in parks throughout the city. There are even lessons for tourists. Special tours visit fascinating Chinese heritage monuments, which are often tucked away in the villages of the New Territories. That's the region between Hong Kong and the border with China. Or you can catch a ride on a traditional Chinese junk in Victoria Harbour. Lessons in Chinese tea traditions are offered at the Nagang Tea Hoing Tea Shop on Queen's Road.
If you just put it to your nose, you don't smell the fragrance. You have to circle it around, take in some air.
There's the Cultural Center in Tsim Sha Tsui with its concert hall, theaters, museums, and a Hong Kong art gallery. The British have been gone for a few years, but there are still some remnants of colonial culture. The firing of the noonday gun from Causeway Bay is more a tourist attraction than anything else. The architecture in Central District is also telling of Hong Kong's history and its future. The former governor's residence is a fine example of colonial styles, but the current chief executive felt the Feng Shui wasn't quite up to par to make it his abode. Nowadays, it's used for VIP functions. After sunset, Hong Kong still pulses with life. Horse racing is popular with young and old, locals and tourists alike. If you're looking for something a little more romantic, the Sheraton Hotel and Towers in Tsim Sha Tsui has one of the best views in town.
The night spot at the Sky Lounge is a little bit different. We like to be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more, I guess, intimate and romantic. You know, with our view, we have a very romantic setting. We have space for 280 people. Every night after 10, it's jam-packed. We have people waiting to get up there just to enjoy the view.
You name it, you can buy it on Temple Street. This is the liveliest night market in Hong Kong, and it's also the place to have your fortune told.
Are you married? May. After 32. After 32? Yeah, we should get married after 32 will be better.
Really? If you like seafood, a trip to Sai Kung in the New Territories is a must. Try something new and exotic, and maybe even unidentifiable. Restaurant patrons choose their dinner from the tanks outside. Their selection is weighed and cooked in a matter of minutes. You can't get much fresher than this. Manta prawns, anyone? Perhaps you might find Peking cuisine a little more mouth-watering. Roasted Peking duck is a well-known dish, as are Peking noodles. And how's this for a dinner-time entertainment? A noodle-making demonstration. Dim sum is another delicacy that's eaten for breakfast or lunch. For a look at the traditional dim sum scene, visit Luk Yu Tea House. It's one of the oldest in Hong Kong. To escape Hong Kong's hectic pace, head to Lantau Island. Peaceful, serene, it's managed to keep much of its heritage. Lantau has many Buddhist temples and shrines, and is also home to the giant Tiantao Buddha. This 34-meter-high sculpture sits on bronze lotus leaves overlooking Po Lin Monastery down below.
Po Lin are two Chinese words, which means precious lotus. Lotus is a very important symbol in Buddhism because people believe that lotus is grown on mud and water, and at the same time it looks so pure. So what people believe is, as a Buddhist, you should be like a lotus. Everything around you is polluted, contaminated, but you yourself should always be so pure.
Hong Kong is famous for its busy harbor, particularly this stretch between Hong Kong Island and Kowloon on the mainland. But just beyond these waters lie some of the city's best-kept secrets, 234 outlying islands. Ferries provide quick connections from a downtown terminal to the most populated islands, such as Cheung Chau, once an exclusive retreat for British colonials. Fishing is still an important industry here. In fact, about 10% of the island's inhabitants live on fishing junks and sampans anchored just offshore. You can even hire a sampan to tour this colorful harbor. Cheung Chau has some great walks, or you might prefer to rent a bicycle. There's no shortage. One of the trails leads to a cave where legend has it one of Hong Kong's most infamous pirates, Chiang Po-chai, stashed his treasure. The town is a maze of streets and alleyways with an interesting market and an assortment of cafes where you can rest your feet. You'll find several temples on the island, and May is the month of the Bun Festival. It's a time to worship the gods which are significant to those who make their living from the sea. There are towers of buns to be distributed, and a parade that's known for its floating children. Lantau Island is another place to explore Hong Kong's spiritual side.
Chinese do have beliefs. They believe in different gods and goddesses, and they always believe that everywhere there must be a spirit. For example, outside the shop or in some of the village houses, you always see a very small shrine, and that is dedicated to the door god. And people believe that this door god will protect the whole house, and if it's outside a shop, it will bring them good business.
Lantau is home to several important monasteries, including the Buddhist Po Lin Monastery.
The complex of this temple is very, very typical Chinese temple complex. Outside there's a courtyard and leading to two side temples. And inside this main temple, we can see 3 statues of the 3 most important Buddhas.